48 teams. 3 host nations. And in the very first week of the 2026 World Cup, the tournament already delivered a result nobody saw coming. Stay with us, because by the end of this video you'll know every result, every table, who's flying, who's already in trouble, and the single fixture next week that could rewrite everything. The 2026 FIFA World Cup, hosted across the United States, Canada, and Mexico, is the largest in history, 48 nations, 16 groups, 104 matches total. Week 1 alone delivered 24 group stage games across 16 venues from Vancouver to Guadalajara. Let's start with the scorelines, all 24 of them, because the raw numbers tell a story before we even dig in. Week 1 produced 71 goals across 24 matches, an average of just under 3 goals per game, with 5 matches ending in draws, 15 decided by a single goal, and 4 finishing with a margin of 3 or more. Now the biggest story of the week. Group E, Japan vs Spain. The reigning European champions arrived in Dallas as heavy favorites, ranked second in the world by FIFA entering the tournament. Japan, ranked 18th, had other ideas. A clinical counter-attacking display, 2 goals from Ayase Ueda either side of half-time, and Japan won 2-1. Spain's consolation came from a Pedri free kick on 74 minutes, but it wasn't enough. Japan's win over Spain echoes their famous 2022 Qatar group stage victory over the same opposition, making it 2 wins from 2 World Cup meetings with Spain, a record that is extraordinary for any nation outside Europe or South America. But Japan versus Spain wasn't the only shock. In Group B, Morocco, Africa's semi-finalists from Qatar 2022, held Brazil to a goalless draw in Los Angeles. Vinicius Jr. hit the post twice and Rodrigo had a goal disallowed by VAR for offside in what was already being called the most frustrating 90 minutes of Vinicius's international career. Brazil drew 0-0 with Morocco. Not the start the 5-time world champions or their fans had in mind. France, meanwhile, opened in Group A with a 3-1 win over Belgium in New York, a feast of attacking football that had the MetLife Stadium crowd on its feet from the 3rd minute. Kylian Mbappé scored twice, a bending free kick on 11 minutes and a cool finish after a lightning counter on 67. Antoine Griezmann added the 3rd. Kevin De Bruyne pulled one back for Belgium on 80 minutes, but France were already coasting. Mbappé's brace puts him straight into the early running for the Golden Boot, and we'll come back to the top scorers chart in a moment, but first let's run through the group tables as they stand after match day 1. In Group A, France lead on 3 points, Poland and Uruguay both on 1 point after a 1-1 draw, Belgium on 0. Group B, Morocco and Brazil both on 1 point after their draw, Colombia beat Saudi Arabia 2-0 to top the group after day 1. Group C saw Argentina open with a nervy 1-0 win over Nigeria in Houston. Lionel Messi, playing in what is widely expected to be his final World Cup at 38 years old, played 72 minutes, quietly commanding rather than explosive, and it was Julian Alvarez who headed home the only goal from a Messi corner in the 55th minute. There is something quietly enormous about watching Messi in this tournament. The numbers around his World Cup legacy are already beyond almost any player in history, and he keeps adding to them. Messi now has 29 World Cup appearances, 13 World Cup goals, and 8 assists across 5 tournaments. The only man to win the World Cup Golden Ball twice. In 2026, he becomes the first player in history to appear at 6 World Cups, a record that may never be broken. England opened their campaign in Group D against Iran in Toronto and ran out comfortable 3-0 winners. Jude Bellingham scored on 22 minutes with a trademark bursting run from deep, Harry Kane added a penalty before halftime, and Phil Foden completed the scoring late. Iran's night ended with goalkeeper Alireza Behrenvan substituted off injured in the first half, a troubling echo of their Qatar 2022 opener. Norway's Erling Haaland, in the conversation all week as a Golden Boot favourite, scored twice as Norway beat Ecuador 3-1 in Group F. Both goals came from open play, neither from the penalty spot, silencing those who'd questioned whether he could produce at a World Cup after Norway's long absence from the tournament. Haaland's brace in his World Cup debut moves him immediately into Golden Boot contention alongside Mbappé. Portugal's Cristiano Ronaldo also scored a penalty in a 2-1 win over South Korea, taking his career World Cup tally to 9 goals, the most of any active player in the tournament. Ronaldo's penalty against South Korea takes his career World Cup tally to 9 goals, the most of any active player at this tournament. The all-time record belongs to Germany's Miroslav Klose, who scored 16 World Cup goals across 4 tournaments. At 41 years old and in his 6th World Cup, Ronaldo continues to write his own chapter of history. Now, the qualification picture after match day 1. In the expanded 48-team format, the top 2 from each group of 3 advance automatically to the round of 32. That means 32 of the 48 teams advance, earning a top 2 finish matters enormously for avoiding the bracket's danger zones. After one match day, Spain and Belgium are the highest-ranked teams on 0 points. Spain's match day 2 against Poland is now effectively a must-win. Belgium face Uruguay in what is already a 6-pointer. And Brazil, the 5-time champions who drew their opener, play Colombia next, and a second drop result would see them looking over their shoulders before the group stage is even half done. So, what are the must-watch fixtures in Week 2? 3 games stand above all others. First, Brazil vs Colombia in Los Angeles on Tuesday. A winnable group could become a crisis group very quickly for Dorival Jr.'s side. Second, Spain vs Poland in Atlanta on Wednesday. After the Japan shock, Spain need a performance to settle nerves and prove Qatar 2022 wasn't a one-off fluke for Japan either. Third, Argentina vs Poland's group rivals in the simultaneous kickoff slot Thursday. Messi and company need a clean sheet and a sharper performance to convince neutrals. Week 2 key fixtures at a glance, and the stakes couldn't be higher for 3 of the pre-tournament favourites. Here's your Week 1 summary in one sentence. Japan shocked Spain, Brazil stumbled, Mbappé and Holland fired warnings to the world, Ronaldo added to his remarkable World Cup legacy, and the group stage has never felt more wide open after just one round of matches. The 2026 World Cup is already delivering. Don't look away. Before you go, drop your answer in the comments. Who is your Week 1 player of the tournament so far? Mbappé? Holland? Or is Ayasu Ueda's Japan brace against Spain the most underrated performance of the week? And subscribe right now, because next week we'll be back with the full Matchday 2 recap, the first teams to qualify for the round of 32, and whether Spain's World Cup is already in crisis. You do not want to miss that one.